For 15 years, I believed I had a perfect marriage. My wife, Zoya, and I had built a life together from nothing. I trusted her completely, and I trusted my best friend, Fahad, even more. He'd been like a brother to me since college. He was there at our wedding, at the birth of our kids, and at every important moment of my life. If someone had told me a year ago that these two people would betray me, I would have laughed in their face. But betrayal has a way of finding you when you least expect it. It started with small changes. Zoya became distant, distracted. Late night, yoga classes, sudden business seminars, and endless phone calls she'd leave the room to answer. I asked her about it once, but she snapped at me, accusing me of being insecure. I let it go. I loved her too much to suspect anything. Then came Fahad. He started dropping by less, avoiding my calls and making excuses to miss our weekend hangouts. Something was off, but I couldn't figure it out. One night, while Zoya was working late, I found her second phone hidden in her dresser drawer. My stomach tightened as I unlocked it using the kids' birth dates. What I found inside shattered me. Hundreds of messages with Fahad, explicit conversations, motel bookings, pictures together. They weren't just having an affair. They were planning a future behind my back. I didn't confront them immediately. I wanted revenge, but it had to be flawless, brutal, unforgettable. I called a private investigator and asked him to track their next motel visit. Within 3 days, I had everything: dates, times, even the exact room number. The next Friday, I left home early, pretending I had a late-night work meeting. Zoya kissed me goodbye, smiling sweetly, and I smiled back, knowing exactly where she'd be heading. I drove straight to the motel and checked into the room directly opposite theirs. I set up 2 hidden cameras inside their room earlier that day, thanks to the motel manager, a friend of mine who owed me a favor. One camera faced the bed, the other the door. I also had a voice recorder ready, ensuring every detail would be captured. An hour later, I heard their laughter in the hallway. My blood boiled, but I stayed calm. I wanted them to dig their own graves. I waited, listening to them through the paper-thin walls, every laugh, every whisper cutting deeper than any blade. The next morning, I went home before Zoya returned. I acted normal. For 2 weeks, I collected more evidence: videos, messages, bank statements of the money she secretly sent Fahad. Then came the day of my revenge. I invited our families, close friends, and Fahad's wife, Samina, to a dinner at our house. Everyone assumed it was for Zoya's birthday, and she walked in beaming, believing I had planned a surprise for her. After dinner, I connected my laptop to the TV. "I made a little video for Zoya," I said, forcing a smile. The video began, with photos of our family, vacations, and celebrations. Everyone clapped and smiled. Then, slowly, the tone changed. Screenshots of her messages with Fahad appeared, followed by videos from the motel room. Gasps echoed across the room. Samina screamed. My mother collapsed onto the sofa, crying. Fahad stood frozen, his face pale, while Zoya began shaking violently, begging me to stop. I didn't. I played the entire clip. 10 minutes of undeniable proof. When it ended, the room was silent, except for Zoya's sobs. I stood up and said calmly, "This is who they are. My wife and my best friend." Fahad tried to speak, but Samina slapped him across the face and walked out, vowing to take everything in their divorce. Zoya fell to her knees, grabbing my hands, crying, "Hamza, please, I made a mistake. Don't destroy us." I looked down at her and said, "You destroyed us the moment you walked into that motel." The next day, I filed for divorce. My lawyer presented the evidence in court: the videos, the messages, the financial records. It was an airtight case. I got full custody of our kids, the house, and 80% of our joint assets. Fahad's wife sued him for infidelity, winning half of everything he owned. He lost his job after his employer found out about the scandal, and his reputation was destroyed. Overnight, Zoya, stripped of her dignity, moved into a small rented apartment, begging me to reconsider. I didn't. Weeks later, Fahad,